Hey guys, and welcome back to GCC. I'm Damon, and today I'm going to be working on this computer. So some of you who are very astute may have noticed that this PC is in shambles. It's literally in pieces. And that's because my liquid cooler that's over here bit the dust. So I had this 120 AIO front mounted, and it was cooling my CPU. And then it died. And I woke up at like 2 or 3 in the morning to this PC going as the pump was shitting itself. So, hi dog. Anyways, so I tore it apart, took out the AIO, and put in a Wraith Spire cooler that came with my Ryzen 7 1700. And it's loud. So mostly what I use this PC for is some VR, playing Beat Saber, the new Five Nights at Freddy's VR game. Go! Anyways, and so because I'm not sure if you can see this, but there's probably about 4 millimeters of space between the top of the Wraith Spire and the bottom of my power supply. And this is... You need to go outside? Okay, hold on. Anyways, so I mainly use this for VR, so it gets pretty loud because this little fan is choked off from air, obviously by the power supply. And the whole point of this PC is that it sits over by my TV, which is where I play VR games. And I don't want it to be flashy, I don't want it to be loud. It's like the two things I don't want. This CPU cooler has a giant red LED on it, and that's dumb, and it's loud. So it's like the two things I don't want my TV PC to be. Side note, I'm going to call it my TV PC because when I first built this, I called it my home theater PC, and a lot of people are getting really upset that like my $430 home theater PC was like way too much. And anyways, I'm not calling it a home theater PC, even though I use it in my home, in my makeshift theater. Anyways. So my TV PC, I'm going to be rebuilding it today, using most of the same parts. Same graphics card, a 1066 gig from EVGA, the same power supply, it's a, I think 530 watt bronze rated power supply, 2200G clocked at 4.0 gigahertz, 16 gigs of DDR4 running at 3200 megahertz CL16, an ASRock B350 ITX. However, I'll be adding a 3.5-inch drive because I do play quite a few games on this, and having only 240 gig SSD doesn't really cut it for having like a decent game library. So I'm adding a 2 terabyte Barracuda drive from Seagate, and I will be using this beast of a CPU cooler to keep it nice and quiet and cool since it's overclocked and stuff. So, all of that will be going in this guy, which is the NZXT H200 Mini ITX case in all black. So that'll be really cool. So I'm going to start tearing this guy down. So next up, I'm gonna reseat the RAM. And then time for the Macho. So this is the Thermalright Macho Rev B. It is a pretty beastie heatsink and fan. Just look at this guy. Just look at it. Just look at it. This big, this beefy, and it should cool this thing pretty well. Time for the new case. Okay, so here we are. It's on my test bench now with a new power supply and the stock cooler, just in case the back plate was interfering with some SMDs on the back. And when you try and start it up, nothing happens. So it's trying to, but it's not working. Okay, so I think I'm just an idiot. This is now my 560, RX 560. My 1060 requires external power, and I didn't have that hooked up, so it probably just wouldn't post because of that. So we'll see. No, come on. Why won't you post? So here is my VR machine. It's not the same machine that I had started out with. It's not just a new case now. It now has a new CPU and a new motherboard. So that's a long story in itself. I have contacted ASRock because their motherboard kind of got bricked when I updated the BIOS, so that was less than fun. With the 2200G and the B350 ITX, which, mind you, had been running fine for over a year now, when I took it out of the case and put it in this case, it wouldn't boot at all. So I'd press power button, and the CPU fan would spin for about 1 second and then shut off. Everything would shut off. I did a bunch of testing, so I obviously pulled everything out of the case, put it on my test bench with a new power supply, different RAM, and a different graphics card just in case. For some reason, I wasn't happy with that stuff, and still the same thing happened. You jump the power pins, and the CPU fan would spin just for a second and then shut off, and it would not boot loop. It would just shut off. So I ordered a new CPU, thinking, who knows? I did some pretty stressful overclocking on the 2200G, so I figured maybe that was it. And with a new Ryzen 5 2600 in the ASRock B350i, it would boot loop, and that was it. So it would stay on for longer than 1 second, but then would just continuously boot loop. And so I did a whole bunch of troubleshooting with that, and nothing. So then I tried my 2200G in this new board, this new ASRock, nope, MSI, Gaming Plus AC, the B450i Gaming Plus AC, and that would also boot loop. Just to preface this, in the ASRock B350i, I cleared the CMOS for like 3 hours. I jumped the jumper pins for like 3 hours, disconnected the CMOS battery from the board. I tried pretty much everything, I feel like, to get that board and that chip to work, and it just wasn't happy. So I ended up getting, as you saw, a new B450 motherboard and a new Ryzen 5 2600. And yeah, so I'm still using the same GPU. This is the same EVGA GTX 1066 gig. It's their SC model, so a little bit beefier, cooler than the non-SC 1060. Anyways, and I'm still using the same CPU cooler that I had, there we go, planned on using. That is the Thermalright Macho Rev B, which is a beefy cooler. And I've got this guy overclocked to 4.1 gigahertz on the CPU, all cores, and the RAM, which you can probably barely see next to the CPU cooler. It doesn't have like a default overclock. There's no XMP setting that overclocks it, so it's just 2133. But I was able to overclock that to 33 megahertz CL16, and that way the RAM latency is low. I did a bunch of benchmarks with that, and I was seeing somewhere between 67 and 69 milliseconds, nanoseconds. And about 49 gigabytes per second read speeds. This is using the 8064 benchmarks. So, like I said, 4.1 gigahertz all core at 1.4 volts. It's a little bit high on voltage, a little bit more than I like, but this CPU cooler keeps it right around 68 degrees full load. That was after an hour and a half of 8064 stress testing, so I'm really happy with that. Super stable, and I used this guy to run memtest 86. I did 10 passes of memtest to verify that the RAM was stably overclocked, and there's 0 errors after 10 which was like 9 hours, something like that. It was a long time. It was overnight. I just let it run overnight. And there's no errors on the RAM, so I'm going to call it stable. And I've been playing much Overwatch on it lately while I wait for a new SATA power cable extension. Yeah, so I added a 2.5-inch hard drive. What I didn't know was that the mounting for it on this guy, there's no cage, there's no caddy. It just screws onto the bottom of the case. So like you just plop a hard drive into the basement of the case and screw in from the bottom, and like that's how you mount it, I guess. So I did that. But my SATA power doesn't reach, because I do have my SSD in there still. Hopefully that will work, so I can offload some of my games off my SSD onto the hard drive, and then download the rest of my VR games and stuff that I've been buying recently. So let's see how it looks. It's running now. You'll see it here momentarily, I presume. I wanted to go for a no lights, no RGB, no anything build, because this is going to be sitting on top of my subwoofer, in plain view of me when I'm playing my games. Mainly because I don't want to be blinded while I'm watching Plex or something along those lines. I don't want to be worried about the lights distracting me while I'm playing a game or watching a movie or doing whatever. So I went for it's not quite blackout because there's white fans and stuff, but a non-lit light. This build is not lit. So I'm pretty pleased with this case. I do wish that the 3.5-inch hard drive mounting was better, because this thing could probably support close to 3.5-inch hard drives if they just had a cage for them, because they just mount in front of the power supply under here So they're like right back here under there. I'm touching it right now actually because there's no plate there. And it doesn't really make sense to me that they didn't include any type of cage or caddy system. It honestly feels like they just cheaped out on it, and that's kind of annoying because I'm used to high build quality and high feature sets in these cases from NZXT, and so to not have that, it's frustrating. But overall, I like the case a lot. I installed my own little fan hub system so that this fan here and then these two front fans, they're all 120s, they're all powered off of the same fan controller, so that I can specify exactly the speeds that I want them to run at. So that's pretty cool. Okay, I just reran the memory latency benchmark on 864 Extreme. I can confirm it's 67.4 nanoseconds. So milliseconds would be a lot. So after 2 days of waiting for parts and troubleshooting and stuff, I'm happy that it's finally all put together again now and ready to use. I'm excited to get this put back over by my big TV and start playing some VR games again, because it's kind of been impossible to play with a computer that doesn't boot. So that'll be nice. Now I can also finally get off my desk since this video is wrapping up right now. So let me know down below what you guys think. I know this is not a very small form factor mini ITX case, but I wanted some full-size hardware minus the motherboard because I don't really care about the motherboard. I may even end up putting my Vegas 64 in this guy if the extra graphical horsepower is needed for some of the VR games that I've got. Because a 1060 is decent, but when you're trying to push 90 Hertz on high resolution, on two high resolution panels at the same time, that can be a little bit taxing, especially on some of the higher end VR games, the higher graphical VR games, I should say. So, Beat Saber, it doesn't care. It's not even trying. But we'll see. But anyways, this is my computer, and it's quiet. Besides the GPU can get kind of loud sometimes because it's just a single fan. It's just a little small boy. So let me know down below what you guys think about this system, and if you guys have any suggestions about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.